Well, it's unfortunate that these allegations are coming. These allegations, as I've always said, are blackmails. And it's surprising because I became chairman of this committee. I was inaugurated as chairman in September last year. And between September and now, I can say categorically that not a kobo of contract has been awarded for emergency. So I don't know how that figure, how that assertion came into being. That's number one. And number two, it's laughable because the IMC themselves came into play in October last year, a month after I became the chairman of the House Committee. So if I became chairman in September, and the IMC themselves came into being in October, and the IMC himself, the same Dr. Cairo said on Arise TV that they have not awarded a single contract since they came on board. So how did 1 trillion, 2 trillion, or whatever trillion, how was that awarded? So obviously this is just sheer blackmail. We expected this from the onset when the investigation process started. And the bottom line is that we are not going to be deterred. And this is coming, I have to say this, after threats and after threat to life by militants, by different text messages, calls, and etc. Threats had failed. So the next agenda to stop the legislative work is blackmail. And I can say it categorically, we are more determined to work for the people of the Niger Delta more than ever before. I can say it, there is no 1 trillion, 2 trillion, 10 trillion, anything. It does not exist. Maybe it only exists in the figment of their own imagination.
So you also mentioned...
Please, the National Assembly does not award contracts. So, and I'm surprised that anybody will award a job that is not in the budget. I'm surprised about that. And I've gone through the 2020 budget as approved. And I can tell you point blank that in the 2020 budget, there is no provision, there is nothing like emergency training in the 2020 budget. Nothing like that. That is not in the budget. So I don't know what he's talking about. And I've said it before, and let me repeat for the up-to-date time. I do not have a single contract in NDDC. They started with a 17-kilometer road which they couldn't substantiate. Now they've come up with another thing. We're only expecting mountains, and only God knows what they will come up with again. I don't have any contract in NDDC. I have never been a contractor to NDDC. I have never worked for NDDC. I've never been paid by NDDC for anything. So I am the chairman of this committee by the grace of God. I know the responsibility on my shoulders. And I know that the Niger Delta is looking up to us for succor. Niger Delta is looking up to us for intervention. Niger Delta is looking up to us for help. Niger Delta is looking up to us for a greater tomorrow. We will not mortgage the future of the Niger Delta people for the sake of our today. That will never happen. I don't have a contract, and I repeat it again. I don't have a contract. And it is an indictment on their part if they claimed that there was an award for an unbudgeted item. That is a serious offense that I think the National Assembly must look into.
So are you saying, but how would you react to the reduction in funding? How did it...
I listened to the interview yesterday. I think they said we inflated the budget. Number one, I have to say this, the budget was not inflated. I will show you some documents, and when this was the budget this was this overview of the revenue profile that NDDC brought. A budget of 409 billion, revenue of 409 billion, 883 million was brought by NDDC. As a responsible parliament, saddled with the responsibility of appropriation as guaranteed under Section 81 of the Constitution, we sat down to look at how realistic this revenue profile is. You cannot spend money that you don't have. So we needed to be sure of the revenue profile for us to be able to adequately and appropriately appropriate in tune with global best practices. And I will tell you what we did. This is what we ended up with. And I will tell you how we came about it. For example, the federal government contribution to the NDDC's budget, which is statutory transfer, it's not a secret. Statutory transfer by federal government to NDDC is always itemized in the Appropriation Act of the federal government for that particular fiscal year. For the 2019 fiscal year, the amount that was appropriated by the federal government, signed by President Muhammadu Buhari in the budget, was 100,188,900,000 naira, as against a proposal by them of 128,683,000,000 naira. Where are you going to raise the extra 28 billion from? Are you going to manufacture money? You cannot manufacture money, and it is budgetary indiscipline for you to overstate your revenue profile. Because once your revenue profile is defective, appropriation becomes faulty. And once appropriation becomes faulty, implementation becomes impossible. So as a responsible parliament, we needed to bring that 128 billion down to the approved 100 billion in the 2019 Appropriation Act of Government. Number two, they said federal government contribution, unpaid arrears by federal government. They stated it as 35 billion. And take a look. The budget of Nigeria, it's an open document. Take a look at it. You can go to www.budgetoffice.gov.ng. It's online. And look at the budgetary provision. It was 0 for unpaid arrears. Yet you stated 35 billion. As a responsible parliament, some of us came from a wide consulting background in the private sector. And we said, you cannot appropriate 35 billion that is not existing. Why? So in tune with this, the budget it means the budget revenue proposal submitted to us by NDDC was inflated unjustifiably to the tune of 63 billion naira. So for us to be able to appropriate, we told them when they came for budget defense, precisely on the 10th of December 2019, this is impossible. You can't spend money that is not yours. Money that you don't have, you don't spend it. You can't give what you don't have. This budget will have to be reviewed to a realistic point. That's why the budget was reviewed downwards to 346,388,900,000 naira. This is in line with the reality of the revenue available. So the issue of inflation of budget, it is not just despicable, it is mostly uncharitable. Nothing like that happened. Then number two, the power of appropriation as guaranteed under the Constitution lies with the National Assembly. Not a single project. I heard he said that Mr. President's regional projects were removed. I can tell you, not a single project, not one. And I stand to be quoted. This is their proposed 2019 budget that they brought. Take a look at this budget and take a look at the signed approved budget. Not a single project was removed from the budget. But once you have overstated your revenue, if your revenue changes, your expenditure must change. And that was what happened. Also, he spoke about balkanization of the project. May I inform you that the percentage of new projects in the NDDC's budget, I'll give you the document before you go, is just 9.2% of the entire NDDC's budget. And by every standard, I don't see that as balkanization. 9.2% of the entire NDDC's budget. So the issue of balkanization of the budget does not in any way arise. And also, I have to put this on record. All these accusations are coming because the National Assembly decided to institute a probe after calls and different petitions. And blackmail threats had been used as a weapon to stop the National Assembly. That has not worked. Then the latest one is this issue of sheer blackmail. We have told them, if you have any document against me, please release such documents, or better still, rather than unnecessary throwing of tantrums, approach the relevant security and anti-corruption agencies. But the National Assembly will not be deterred from doing its work. We owe our loyalty to the Nigerian people. And as a committee, we owe our loyalty to the people of the Niger Delta that have been deprived over the years. And we say this time around, we must have a commission that will work, not just for the people, it must work for everybody in the Niger Delta.
Does the president have any project?
For raising that point, it was stated yesterday that we are doing this probe because we're against the forensic. Let me say this clearly. I, Honorable Lubumi Tunjojo, I was on Politics Today on Channels TV when the president approved the forensic, and I openly supported it. Until tomorrow, I support it, my committee supports it, the House of Rep is in support, the Senate, I know they are in support, the National Assembly is in support. To indicate our support, when the 2019 budget was brought, this is the 2019 budget, once again, look at this budget proposal. The president approved forensic in October last year. This budget was brought to the National Assembly in November, precisely November 26th, a month after the approval of the president for forensic. Yet, they did not put forensic as a budget line in the budget. They had no financial provision for forensic. It took the National Assembly, relying on its power of appropriation, to be able to provide funds for the forensic. This is it. In the budget, precisely serial number 179 under regional for the forensic. The president approved the sum of 2.5 billion for the forensic. And we put the budgeted provision of 2.5 billion in line with what the president approved. And we made provision for 1.25 billion as funding in 2019 budget, of which they have already paid some, because we have records from CBN and others. How else, as a legislature, as a responsible and responsive arm of government, how else can we cooperate and show support for this forensic other than making these funds available? If we are not in support, we wouldn't have made the funds available. We are, let me say it emphatically, we are in support of forensic because the truth must be laid bare. But what we are saying, in the process of doing forensic, if there are allegations, you should be able to defend yourself. And not hide under forensic as if forensic has granted you immunity. Forensic is not a medium of granting immunity. And that's all we are saying. We have not indicted anybody. All these things are still allegations against the IMC. The House has not, there's no resolution of the House against them yet. All we are saying is there are allegations. Come and defend yourself in line with the principles of fair hearing. We have written to them. We have written to so many other government agencies, CBN, Akatanya, all of them. We are getting documents. We're going to take evidence. And we have promised that this investigation is going to be free and fair. And I see why anybody should be scared of his or our own shadow. There is no need. We are all working for the Niger Delta people. We don't see them as enemies, but allegations have been raised. And it is only ethical for you to clear yourself of allegations. If you have nothing to hide, why throwing tantrums? Why blackmail? Why manufacturing figures that doesn't exist? Why just going, talk is cheap? Why blackmailing people? Why blackmailing the institution? But I want to assure you of one thing, and I would like to assure the people of the Niger Delta. We will not be intimidated. We will not be blackmailed into submission. We will do a thorough job, not just to our own satisfaction, not just to the satisfaction of the House, but to the satisfaction of the people of the Niger Delta, in line with realities on ground. That is a promise we are making to the Niger Delta people.
Thank you very much.
There was an allegation that the National Assembly is sitting on the 2020 budget. First of all, he asserted on Arise TV that the 2020 budget was brought 2 months ago. That is not true. The 2020 budget was brought along with the 2019 budget on the 26th of November 2019. That was after the House of Reps had passed unanimous resolution compelling NDDC to bring their budget. By Section 18 of the NDDC's Act, the budget is supposed to be submitted latest 30th September of preceding year. That is, 2019 budget should have been brought latest September 30, 2018. That is the provision of the NDDC's Act. 2020 NDDC's budget should have been submitted latest September 30, 2019. Yet, 14 or 15 months after they brought the 2019 budget, after the House of Rep passed a resolution compelling them to bring the budget. The budget was brought. The two budgets were submitted the same day. And we said it's unethical for us we can't work on two budgets at the same time. It has to be one after the other. And I will show you. When immediately they submitted the budget, they brought the budget. We wrote to them. They brought the budget on the 26th of November. And we wrote to them on the 5th of November. We wrote to them. This is a copy of the letter that we wrote to them. We wrote to them on the 4th of December. This is a copy of the letter we wrote to them to come and defend the budget. And we wrote it here, very importantly. If you are coming to defend your budget, please, we need your 2018 budget performance report. Because the budget performance report is the ingredient, is the tool that we need for appropriation. You cannot tell me, oh, this road is 10 billion, you have spent 5 billion, oh, give me the remaining so billion, without me knowing what is on ground. We needed to know, to assist the appropriation process. We wrote to them on the 4th. This letter was received by NDDC. They came for the budget defense on the 10th of December. When they came on the 10th, they didn't come with the budget performance report. We had to tell them, go back, get your performance report, so as to be able to do a thorough job that the people of Niger Delta will be proud of. They did not bring the performance report until we wrote to them, even though the House was in session, but we were still working to beat time because the budget was already behind schedule, courtesy of their late submission of the budget. We wrote to them on the 13th of January. You can recall that the House resumed on the 25th of January from the Christmas and New Year break. But during the break, we were working. We wrote to them to come for budget defense with the document on the 5th of February. They came on the 5th and brought the budget performance report. Based on that, the House approved the budget on the 27th of February. After the budget had been approved, based on the 2020, we wrote to NDDC on the 28th of April. This is as received. You can see the acknowledgement. Asking NDDC to submit their 2019 budget performance in order to enable us to do our legislative work. We cannot do blind budgeting. It's unethical in any parliament in the world. We wrote to them on the 28th of April. They did not respond. It was even a joint letter. They did not respond to this letter asking for budget performance. We wrote another reminder to them. You can see the heading, re-request, on the 12th of May. You can see where it was acknowledged. For them to bring the budget performance. It was after this that NDDC wrote a reply to us. And what is the reply? Please permit us to express our sincere frustration and disappointment in our seeming inability to promptly respond to your request as enunciated in your correspondence. This is as a result of present realities occasioned by constraining effects of COVID-19 pandemic on the operations of the Commission, especially with regards to restriction of movements in Rivers State, coupled with the not too cordial relationship between the Commission and the state government. This is request for budget performance report. So I'm shocked when Dr. Cairo went on air yesterday and said the two chairmen sat on our budget. You have not fulfilled your own part of the bargain, which is present your performance report. If you have not given me your performance report, how do we appropriate? We are not magicians. They wrote to us on the 12th of May, signed by the MD, who is the Chief Accounting Officer. After this correspondence, you are accusing the National Assembly of sitting on your budget.
Okay, last question.
And permit me to say this. We are investigating. And of course, I'm the chairman of the committee investigating. I wouldn't have come out, and this is very clearly to say anything. I've been quiet all along, but because there was a personality attack, that has to do with the integrity of the institution that I represent, and I hold so dearly. That's why I'm addressing the press. I want to assure you that in the process of the investigation, all these things are allegations, and I believe in innocence. You are innocent until proven guilty. So we will do a thorough job, as I have promised and assured. And I want you to know that by the grace of God, we will not disappoint the Niger Delta people. We are not here to exchange tantrums. People can always throw stones at you.